Ms. Janet Ang.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to participate in this debate. I would like to declare that I'm a council member of the Singapore Business Federation, chairman of SISTIC and board member of SPH. There has been a lot of angst felt by everyone across the board since the COVID-19 virus reared its ugly head some 18 months ago and continues to rage through communities across the globe, causing healthcare crisis, economic upheavals, and putting individuals' mental well-being at risk. I, like many Singaporeans and businesses in Singapore, are grateful that we are riding this storm with our multi-ministerial task force as captains. A big shout out to the MTF and their crew for all they do to keep the rest of us safe and to ready our ship to sail the high waters as we prepare to transition from pandemic to endemic and reopen our borders and our economy to the new normal. Yesterday in Parliament, our MTF ministers have given us reason to be cautiously confident of what is to come. But it will take all of us with collective will to see through this crisis safely, to be there for each other, and to be responsible for our actions, not simply for our own good, but for the common good of our society and the world. Since the start of COVID-19, government agencies have been working very closely with the Singapore Business Federation, the trade associations, and chambers to understand the disruptions faced by the different industries and to help businesses navigate the uncertainties of the COVID-19 pandemic. The government's support measures throughout the pandemic have been critical in supporting lives and livelihoods, and these efforts are very much appreciated. The recent return to heightened alert was a major blow to all of us. It was unexpected and disappointing, even if we do understand the necessity of the tough action taken by the MTF. Minister Lawrence Wong's announcement of the 1.1 billion package, the subject of which we are debating, has brought a sigh of relief to the most affected businesses like F&B, gyms, hawkers, and market stall holders. I have spoken to several of the TACs and they all express appreciation for the quick action by MOF in reallocating funding to provide enhanced support to the sectors and the workers most affected by the Phase 2 heightened alert measures. The enhanced job support scheme, rental reliefs, credit measures, and other measures in the package will go a long way to help the affected businesses keep their staff and stay afloat. That said, many of the businesses are frustrated and worried about the future. Recovery has been uneven. TACs have shared with me that unlike last year, most businesses by now would have drawn down their reserves and savings considerably, and if their business does not pick up soon, some of them may not be able to sustain further losses. The Restaurant Association of Singapore shared that the F&B sector has been battered with reduced sitting capacities of some 50% for over 16 months. Rental costs, costs of pivoting to food delivery, and their manpower woes are amongst what keeps their members up at night. Singapore Retail Association members are in no better shape as they battle COVID-19 woes and disruption by e-commerce. Those who have invested in digital early stand a better chance, while some 10 to 15% of the businesses may never recover. Robinson's closing down is the red flag for this sector. And for the nightlife sector, which has been dealt a hard blow since the start of COVID, it is now bearing the brunt of the wrongdoings of a handful of errant operators who run unlawful KTVs, the subject of which was much discussed yesterday in this chamber. The Singapore Nightlife Business Association, SNBA, had to put a three-ring approach to recover from the KTV cluster, and this includes whistleblowing system, industry pledge for transparency and compliance, and call for severe penalty for the errant operators. Everyone is tired, anxious, and mentally strained. We need a sign of hope to move forward. The business community is fully behind PM Lee Hsien Loong's call to test, to trace, to vaccinate. I shall not sing for you. So that we can transition from pandemic to endemic as a community and a nation more safely and be ready to emerge stronger together. It is encouraging to hear Minister Ong Ye Kung's update yesterday in Parliament that Singapore's vaccination program is progressing well, though there are still concerns with the vaccination rate and pace amongst the high-risk seniors. We have to believe that with all of the efforts of Team Singapore, we will get to the 80% coverage by the time we have the NDP rally at the end of August. There is hope. The Emerging Stronger Task Force EST report that was rolled out in May-June 2021 has demonstrated that public-private partnerships with an action-oriented mindset can make things happen. The EST and the various Alliances for Action, AFAs in short, have laid out a good roadmap for Singapore to get into gear to grow again post-pandemic. Minister Desmond Lee and Mr. Tan Chong Ming, the co-chairs of the EST, had a webinar with SBF, TACs and chambers to share the process and the roadmap and to encourage businesses to engage with the various AFAs as the companies plan their pivots and transformation. It was well received and the feedback of the process has been positive. The call to action is for our Singapore businesses, big and small, to join in the action. No time to waste. As Singapore prepares to transition from pandemic to endemic, the business community believes that government support and tripartite collaboration continues to be key. And I would like to voice the following three pleas for support which need to be addressed in parallel with let's trace, let's test, let's trace, let's vaccinate. The first one is access to foreign employees to overcome the labour shortage in all of our service sectors. Businesses hope that as Singapore reopens, the following suggestions can be considered. In-country testing and stay-home notice arrangements in source countries before bringing new foreign workers to Singapore on chartered Green Lane buses from Malaysia or chartered Green Lane flights. Government to review policies to ease intercompany and intra-company transfer of foreign manpower. This morning, I think MOS did talk about this during the PQ session, but more details can be provided. Government to review policies to ease intercompany, ongoing efforts such as the Place and Train program that allowed employees in affected sectors to temporarily move to another company or sector are positive interventions and hope it will be continued. Of course, I agree with some honourable members who have mentioned that we must keep an eye on the lookout for when this is over, how do we ensure that they are transitioned, they are trained to move into permanent jobs. Since I'm speaking about foreign labour, I guess I do have to say a few words on what the business thinks in this space. While there has been a plethora of initiatives by both the government and businesses to support digitalization, increase productivity and redesign of jobs, it will not be possible to eliminate the need for foreign workers completely. Businesses have been encouraged both by the industry themselves as well as by government, to use technology, train and upskill supposedly unattractive job roles, enhancing the value add of the job roles, and in so doing, improving the salary compensation to make these jobs more attractive for Singaporeans. MAS MD, Mr. Ravi Menon, in his recent IPS lecture on Four Horsemen, spoke about professionalizing every job in Singapore, where every worker undergoes continuous learning and certification throughout his or her career, is recognized for their craftsmanship, is valued by the consumers for their services, goes about his or her work with dignity, and earns the higher pay that goes with the job. In this scenario, hopefully more Singaporeans will want to do these jobs. But until then, we simply don't have enough Singaporeans to do the work that is needed in the work sites, in the data centers, in the kitchens, and so forth. There are also jobs in certain sectors where there are skills mismatch or supply-demand mismatch, such as in advanced AI, deep tech, software engineering, in the IT sector, and technology-related jobs across industry. Now, recognizing the angst of Singaporeans on the issue of workplace discrimination, SBF, with 29 TACs and chambers, put out a joint statement on fair hiring and employment practices earlier this year on 19 January 2021. Minister of Manpower, Dr. Tan See Leng, in his response to the motion on Singaporean core yesterday, shared that MOM has set up tripartite committees across the board to work on this issue. I hope that there will be a good outcome for all, the Singaporean workers, the companies, and our Singapore, the little red dot. Still, I will appeal to the good sense of my fellow Singaporeans to recognize that foreign talents complement our local Singaporean workforce, and we need each other. This is a truth. Second point, bring back the business. Several other members of the House have also talked about this, and I must say that there has been many government COVID-19 relief measures rolled out to help our businesses and our workforce. But the best help, of course, is to bring back the business for the companies. Most Singapore SMEs have very low digital maturity score. In the new normal, however, digitalization and connectivity are critical for survival and growth. IMDA has been making credible efforts to bring our SMEs along with SMEs Go Digital, Hawkers Go Digital, and the multitude of initiatives and campaigns. The Federation of Merchant Association of Singapore, FMAS, who looks after merchants as well as the hawkers, tell me that over the past 16 months, some 60% of hawkers have gone online with e-payment systems, and that is a great start. A key reason for the acceleration to e-payment is the strong support by the IMDA's digital office. The IMDA's digital office staff practically hold their hand to get across the line. The same support will be needed if we are to help the hawkers and merchants adopt online ordering and delivery platforms. And I submit to you, similar support is likely to be needed for SMEs across other industries. For the members of the Real Estate Developers Association of Singapore, REDAS, while it is appreciated that the government has already given extension for delays in project completion, they hope that the government will give an extension of further 6 months for the sale of units in the projects. With the Phase 2 Heightened Alert, sales activities are muted. Though some projects sell well, but there are many which are very slow-moving and likely to hit the ABSD penalty if no extension is granted. For the hotel, entertainment, and tourism industries, establishments have been badly affected by the pandemic due to the small domestic market and lack of tourists. Businesses all hope that Singapore, with our increased vaccination coverage, will further expand green lanes and trial passports for vaccinated visitors to attract the return of tourists and business travelers to Singapore. As Minister Gan Kim Yong mentioned yesterday, we might want to trial with countries which have similarly high vaccination rates and also have a health passport system similar to Singapore's. My third point is reopening plan with ASEAN and our key trade partners, critical for Singapore's status as a regional HQ. Businesses are very appreciative of Singapore's approach to managing COVID-19 and ensuring our preparedness to enable Singapore to reopen its corridors in a controlled and safe manner. They would like to see the government place importance on prioritizing the opening of borders for business travel and home travel for both business and compassionate reasons. Some suggestions include the Business Traveller Pass (BTP) with restricted travel itinerary has been piloted in the past months and feedback has been good. It is hoped that MTI can consider expanding the coverage to more business travellers, as this would greatly enhance the reopening of business travel. There are many senior business leaders who are EP holders in Singapore by virtue of our hub status. Since the start of COVID-19, many of them have not seen their families back home for more than a year. Our companies need to have the certainty that their staff who are EP holders returning home to see family can return to Singapore to resume their work as per their employment agreement. As our population becomes increasingly vaccinated, it is also hoped that Singapore will be able to negotiate with key trading partners a vaccination passport that would enable Singaporeans, PRs and EP holders to travel with reduced requirements for SHN. Our companies are open to extensive testing and contact tracing, and where necessary, consider differentiated protocols to handle fully vaccinated individuals and those who are not vaccinated. Industry hopes that ESG will continue to support and actively assist companies to localize in international markets through initiatives like the Global Connect at SPF. The Singapore Manufacturing Federation sees that it is an imperative for Singapore to collectively work towards the vision of ASEAN as the manufacturing hub if Singapore is to continue to stay relevant. And public-private partnerships could be strengthened for internationalization and regionalization of local companies. And especially in ASEAN, no one is safe until we are all safe. So seeing Minister Vivian's Balakrishnan's post of representing Singapore in delivering oxygen to Indonesia during their plight was absolutely the right thing to do. And our participation in donating vaccines to COVAX for poor countries is absolutely the right thing for Singapore. Now, this is a marathon, not a sprint. It will take time, and we all need to be patient, but act now we must. Finally, unity is strength. I hope that companies in Singapore rethink their corporate purpose and act together to lift and support the companies in their ecosystem by building greater capabilities, for example, digitalization as strategic enabler and regionalization. This is an imperative for Singapore, and we need to enhance the hardware, the software, as well as the hardware of our businesses. There is an urgent need to find ways to keep Singapore connected to the world and for businesses to find new business models that will enable Singapore to emerge stronger post-pandemic. It has been a long and painful journey in dealing with the pandemic. There is light, I believe, at the end of the tunnel, but it will take collective will and a strong sense of responsibility toward each other if we are to move smoothly toward reopening of Singapore's economy and borders. Let me close with hope and with conviction in the words of our Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong in the video. In the new normal, COVID-19 will not dominate our lives. Madam Deputy Speaker, I support the bill. Thank you.